everybody. Welcome to Aspects Land of a Changing Man. My name is Gold, and I'm bringing you another episode. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. Hope everything going well for everybody else. I'm in a positive mood. That's what I'm trying to do. Talk more positive, be more positive. So if you want to hit me up, definitely do that. MPLSMIKID at yahoo or gmail.com. Also, MPLSMIKID AKAGOL is the Twitter account if you want to hit me up on there. Also, Aspect Slant of a Changing Man on Facebook is the page for this podcast. Just again, thank you everybody for showing up, listening in. If you want to, hit the follow button. I'll be doing this every day of the week that I can, just talking about things that I feel like would change, the aspect on how people look at things, just my perspective, giving a perspective on how I see things that would that I think would make a change for people to be in a relationship better. And today, is a special day because of the fact that I want to share my past experience and put it into a way where I can show that it has really affected me in the way that I handle my relationships, in the way that I handle my life, as far as things, as far as, situations. And just remember, this show is about, giving a perspective and hoping that, anybody that feels the same way can see, how I made my changes towards my life for, to be better for a relationship. So, in the past, I've been able to successfully trick myself into blaming other people for problems that I committed myself. And I said that there was going to be a change that I made. That's going to be one change that I made because I don't want to blame anybody. I want to make the changes that I'm able to make, and I don't want to have someone be my excuse for my failures. I want to be able to say, I made that mistake, I need to change, and what do I need to change? Why did I make that decision in the first place? And what made it so that I thought it was a comfortable mistake to make, and to, make the changes, make the correct changes. So sometimes I get in a quiet place. Sometimes I pray to God and, and see if I can actually go back to find out what made me feel comfortable enough to make that mistake. And in a lot of the cases, it was fear. I feel like, in the middle of every decision that we have, there comes a case where there's, not in every case, but in a lot of situations we have, when we start to lose control of a situation, we get fearful. And when you get fearful, you have two ways to go. You have the bad way of handling things, and you have the good way of handling them. Well, where I really got comfortable in making one of my mistakes was, it was me not learning to do things right, and me not learning to fix myself. So, in my past, my mom used to discipline me. She used to discipline me with the belt. She used to discipline me with her hand, whatever she could find, and I used to, get disciplined for doing wrong. And, a lot of people did go through that, and it wasn't really bad. It wasn't really a bad thing as far as You know, how, because for a lot of things, I know how to do it because that was the way that, you know, my mom learned to handle situations. And I definitely learned some things from, you know, having that BA fear. Like, I know if I don't do this, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to get. So, for the things that I knew, the things that I did and fixed, those things stayed with me, and now I know, you know, to repeat them. But there was times that, you know, when I got disciplined, I looked at the situation and I was like, man, I'm tired of being here. Man, I don't want to be here. Man, I can't wait till I get big enough, and I can't wait till I get grown enough. I'm leaving here, and I'm never gonna come back. And you know, probably a lot of people felt like that. I was talking to a friend today. He was like, "Yeah, yup, sure did think about it. Sure did." I was saying that. So for the cases of that, when I was like 14, you know, I ran away from home. And when I ran out of the house, I didn't have anywhere to go. So when I looked at the situation, I was like, man, I gotta go back. I don't want to go back, but I gotta go back. So I walked back in the house, you know, and probably changed my decision for that. It was like, okay, but when I find somewhere to go, I'm going there. Well, you know, eventually, you know, one time, things got so out of control that my mom called the police. And in calling the police, they were like, "We're gonna take you to the teenage runaway shelter," which was a place that was around here that was for kids that used to run away, they used to act bad, they used to get abandoned. Um, they used to pick kids up so they're not out on the street. And it was somewhere that I could go, you know, if I got in trouble or something like that. Well, in going there, I think it was the first time I went there, I was like, all right, I'm gone. You know, I don't like this place. You know, I'm not comfortable here. I'm going home as soon as I can. But in one time that I went there, because I went there, I don't know how many times. I can't even remember how many times I went. But in one time that me going there, I met this girl there, and you know, we liked each other, and it was a, you know, situation where, you know, I was liking being there because I was liking to be around her. So, you know, we flirted with each other, and we found out that we liked each other, and we wanted to talk to each other. Well, I ended up getting her number, and I got home. You know, afterwards they talked to my mom. My mom brought me home, and I got home, and I lost her number. I left her number there. So when I left her number, I was like, man, I gotta get back over there. So I purposely act bad so that I could get back over to where I wanted to go. And in me being able to do that, I didn't get the number back, but I liked going back there because there was another girl there that liked me. I liked her, and you know, we end up, being really tight there. So I became it became adaptive to me to know that if I act a fool, you know, I can have somewhere to go. So there was no need to change. There was no need to change, you know, because sometimes, like I said, I would act bad just on purpose so I can go back there, because that was somewhere where I wanted to go. I felt comfortable in going home, but I was not changing my behavior. I knew that I had an extra place to go. So I decided I adapted that to my life. If I was messing up and I liked what I did, and I knew that that was going to be the case, I was always always knew to have a backup plan so that I was able to be who I wanted to be and not submit to doing right. And, like I said, from a young age, that's what I knew. So if I got into a situation where it was my mom's house, it was a girlfriend's house, it was some other house, and I became fearful that the situation isn't working the way I wanted it to, I would do what I had to do. I would, always look for somewhere else to go, just so I know that if it became too hectic, I could always have an extra place. And I would be doing this in relationships. It became something where I was like, okay, well, if she's tripping on what I'm doing, let me make sure I got somewhere else to go, so that when we do have this situation, I can have a backup plan. So me adapting that actually made me a worse person, because I never learned on my own how to fix myself when it came to problems. I never learned that, you can handle things the right way. You don't need to handle them the wrong way, because of the fact that I have somewhere else to go. So I always made excuses, I always made excuses when I didn't want to go to a place. I try to manipulate the situation. I try to see what I could do to make it so that that person feels bad about putting me out, or that person feels bad about leaving me in a relationship, But when I did get done with that person, or I knew that I wasn't going to change my actions from what I felt like I wanted to do. I basically made sure, hey, I got a route to go. And the reason that I feel like that is the case, I look back into the Jim Crow era, and the Jim Crow era was really like, what he wanted to do was take the mind. I mean, he wanted people to put so much fear into a slave, where you got their body, but their mind is gone. So now they respect you even more. What he didn't know is that, I may be wrong, but I feel like what he didn't know was that in the time that you're doing this to these people, they're always going to look at the time that they feel like they have the strength, or the time that they feel like they have a route to be able to leave there, because they know that you're not treating them right. And in that became, like the Underground Railroad. It became slaves that got strong enough to, slaves that got strong enough to force their way into respect on their master, or kill him. Because that's what in that case, sometimes people felt like that's what they had to do. So, in that, I feel like when people are treated wrong, or they feel like they treated wrong, they're always looking at the strength. They're always looking at a route. They start looking at a route to leave. They're always looking at the strength to leave. If you don't, or the strength to fight.